today will be led by Jasir Camarillo from St. Nicholas Parish.
Good afternoon. I ask that we stand in silence and move forward with a small prayer. Father God, we invite you here to be with us for the Mexican flag rising ceremony. We thank you for letting us gather here today on this beautiful Thursday afternoon. We ask that you bestow us with the fortitude to continue to fight for justice and let us have the passion for ourselves and those around us. I ask that you bless the individuals here today. Grant us peace and favor as we carry through the day in this celebration. Padre nuestro, te invitamos que estés aquí con nosotros en esta ceremonia de la bandera mexicana. Te agradecemos por permitirnos reunirnos aquí en esta hermosa tarde. Te pedimos que nos des la fortaleza para seguir la lucha de la justicia y tengamos compasión con nosotros mismos y los que nos rodean. Te pedimos que nos bendigas a las personas aquí hoy. Concédenos la paz y el favor mientras llevamos a cabo del día de hoy. Amén.
Good afternoon. I'm still a little bit sick. Sorry. I'm so happy and emotional today because this is the first time in the United States, really in the life I'm living here, to do the raising the flag, the Mexican flag. That's very important for us, like Mexicans, never forget where we came from. I born and raised in Monterrey, Mexico, and I was educated in Mexico. So I came here when I got married. And for me, it was a new world, totally. I'm talking about when I was 19 years old. No English at all, nothing, I didn't know nothing about this country. And now, I got my 3 kids in here. They are professionals. They have their own life in here. But they still respect what I'm doing because I know my roots. And I have all my parents and family in Mexico. I'm so happy you guys have everybody here, your family and all. But us, we are like in 2 parts. One part is United States, the other part is in Mexico. And a lot of people here probably they understand me. And for these dates, Fiestas Patrias for us in Mexico, they are a huge thing, right? A big. So now I'm very happy. If we don't have no parade, because the circumstances we present right now, this is great to celebrate 16 de septiembre, September 16, because for us, it's the independence of Mexico. We are many years, 300 years, under the Spain. They took all what the good ones we have, gold, silver, everything. And the people born in there, the criollos, they born in Mexico, but they are still with the Spain parents. They say, wait, this is my country. Wait a minute, we have to do something. And that's when they start this independence. So Miguel Hidalgo y Costilla and the church talking in there and say, hey, it's time to do something. And it's when they start creating all this independence. So this fight was 11 years. They start in 1810 and they finish in 1821. So many years of fights and all that. But finally, we have the independence of Mexico on September 16. So that's why it's so important for us to be independent and have our own government and everything. So that's a celebration for us, a huge, huge celebration for us today. And thank you, Mayor, thank you for letting us to be proud still to be Mexicans. And for the future generations, I think they have to learn our history to understand us. So thank you for letting us to do the raising flag, the Mexican flag here in Aurora. This is really appreciated for all the Mexican community, Mayor and Deputy Mayor. Thank you so much. Thank you, thank you, thank you. And I hope continue enjoying the day today. And now we have a real nice kid singing like an angel, so you want to hear later on today. Thank you and welcome again, and continue celebration the Mexican Independence Day, and then continue celebration until October 15 because it's the Hispanic Heritage Month. Remember all that. Not only for Mexicans, other nationalities, Latinos, they're still celebrating, and the future programs we want to have continue with the programs to continue celebration the Hispanic Heritage Month. Okay? Thank you very much.
Big round of applause for the Honorable.
Thank you for that, Clayton. Good afternoon. So this morning I was kind of going back and forth on what I did want to share with everyone today, and I don't think I've actually even decided what I want to talk about. There's just so much that can be said about Mexicans in Aurora, our history, and the greater Hispanic population. But I think a personal story is something that I would like to share today. I have a cousin that's visiting here from Mexico City, and I'm not going to tear up, but I'm starting to choke up a little bit, just kind of going over that in my mind again. He asked me why we celebrate Mexican Independence Day in the United States, why in Aurora. And it was a great question, a question that no one's really ever asked me, one that I've never had to think about. To me, it's because that's who we are, so we're celebrating it. But me saying that's who we are as a fourth generation Mexican American is a lot different from someone that's visiting here from Mexico or an immigrant that grew up in Mexico and now lives in Aurora. I'm further removed from, I guess, the Mexican identity, but to me, Mexico is just as much in my heart as the United States is. Just both of these flags carry an equal weight here in my heart, and that's why I identify as Mexican American. But getting back to his question, I would say the best way for me to explain it to him was providing him some of my family's history in the United States. And this is a different family that we're talking about from my cousin. This would be from the Vera side, my mother's family. My great-grandfather, Hilario Vera, came to the U.S., specifically to Aurora, in 1917. The reason that he came was that at that time, the Mexican Revolution was happening in Mexico, and there were different battles throughout the country, but a lot of the violence was really centered in central Mexico in the state of Jalisco, which is where my family was from. So my great-grandfather made the very difficult decision of having to leave his hometown, his home country, pack up with his family, and come to the United States. He chose Aurora because of the opportunities that were available here. They were available back in 1917, and they're still here available today. What he experienced in Aurora at that time and the generations after him is a lot different than what I'm experiencing today, but some things unfortunately remain the same. My grandmother had a Spanish first and last name, but she found as she grew older that her classmates, her colleagues couldn't pronounce her first name because it was in Spanish. So she went as far as changing her name legally to an English name so she could fit in better with her colleagues. She then also named her 4 daughters English first names, my mother Mary being one of them, and for that same reason, because she wanted the family to blend in. At that time, there was a lot of discrimination against Mexican immigrants, and unfortunately, that's something that still continues today. Myself, growing up, even at the grade school level, playing basketball against other schools that were different ethnic backgrounds. My school is primarily Hispanic, primarily Mexican, and myself and my colleague, Simon Rodriguez, he can back me up on this. A lot of these students from other schools, even parents, had nothing but nasty things to say to us because we were Mexican. We were called all types of things, and this was us as children. That only continued. When I got to high school, I had... This is still very upsetting. I had a high school teacher tell me that I needed to go back to where I came from. I was so upset in that moment. I'm still upset now.
You're here now. You're here. Look at you.
That's right. I have nothing to prove to that teacher, just like all of us have nothing to prove to anyone that criticizes us for our ethnic or racial backgrounds. At that time, I was proud to be Mexican, and I'm proud to be Mexican today. Alderman Garza here can back me up that we are underrepresented in this city. There are 12 aldermen on the city council. 2 of us are Hispanic, specifically Mexican. Before myself, I was just sworn in 2 years ago. Before that, it was only Alderman Garza for at least 10 years, if not more. And before her, we don't have a long history of being represented. And as much as I think that our current council does a great job, I would like to see more Hispanic and Mexican council people and candidates in the future so that we're better represented as a population. We make up roughly 45% of the Aurora's population, but we, on the council, are represented 2 out of 12. That needs to change. Getting back to my family, they worked hard to make sure that we had a good future here, that we had a better future, a better experience than they had, better life than they had. And every generation has continued to do that, just as everyone else here and your parents or your grandparents that came to this country was to provide you a better future. Now we have that responsibility to do the same thing for our kids and for our future generations, but we need to step up in doing that. It's not just enough to have a good job and to have a career for yourself and an income, a comfortable life for your family. The other side of it is, what are you doing for the rest of the community? How are you helping everyone else achieve that? I think one of the ways of doing that is volunteering, and another good way is to serve your community by being on the council or any other local offices. So I encourage everyone to get involved. I don't want to talk politics, but I just want to use it as an opportunity to encourage everyone. As Clayton mentioned, I'm the youngest alderman on the council, which is an accomplishment, but it's also, I guess, lonely. I'm the only one from my generation up here, and I want to see more people. I want to see the next generation. I want to see the Gen Z on the council in the future. I want to make sure that everyone is aware of their responsibility. They don't forget that how hard their parents worked, the past generations worked, and we have to continue to work just as hard, if not harder, to make sure that we are represented. But while doing that, we can't forget where we came from, which is why we have the flag here and why we are having the ceremony today here. That itself is a ton of motivation to think back about all the sacrifices that were made to get to where we are today. We're going to continue to sacrifice, and we're going to continue to move forward, continue to seguir adelante. Thank you.
Big round of applause for Alderman Emmanuel Llamas.
Good afternoon. Yes, I am the first Hispanic deputy mayor of the city of Aurora, second largest city in the state. And I thank Mr. Richard Irving for that, for appointing me in the position to help him divide and conquer, help out the city with our issues here and represent the Latino community. So, being that I'm representing the Hispanic community, muchísimas gracias. Muchísimas gracias por venir a reconocer el Día de la Independencia de México. Nacimos en México, nacido en México, me vine de la edad de 6 años. Nacido del estado de Zacatecas, el pueblo de Jerez. Toda mi educación fue aquí. Toda mi familia está aquí. Tengo familiares de parte de mi papá, todavía en Jerez. Y esto empezó, como dijo el señor Emanuel. Mi abuelo también trabajó en el railroad, en Nueva York, en Pennsylvania. Mi abuela, de parte de mi madre, nació aquí y por ella estoy aquí. Yo lo que quiero darles a ustedes saber es que todos podemos hacerlo, pero nada es gratis, nada es fácil. Tienes que poner un poquito de tu trabajo, de tu persona, para llegar a ponerte en estas posiciones que tenemos, para tratar de superar a los demás. Y también que no te olvides de tus raíces, de dónde vienes y lo que puedes contribuir en este pueblo, en este país. ¿Por qué razón? Porque todos tenemos que estar unidos para trabajar mejor, respetarnos unos a los otros, saber, gozar, respetarnos unos a los otros y por lo menos contribuir a este país que nos ha dado una oportunidad demasiado grande para superar nuestra familia y nuestros hijos. Es la semilla que podemos poner para que crezcan y podemos contribuir a este país y hacerlo mejor, que es el país más mejor del mundo. Muchísimas gracias. Gracias al mayor, a todos los aldermen, todos los oficiales que están aquí. Y por favor, hay que celebrar el Día de Independencia, pero siguiendo las leyes, portándonos bien y respetándonos. Muchas gracias.
Big round of applause for Dick.
Viva los Mexicanos! Viva Aurora! Viva una Aurora! Happy Mexican Independence Day and happy Hispanic Heritage Month. I am so proud to stand here with you today as Mayor of Aurora, Illinois, where we are making history not only for our city, but for cities throughout our state, as we honor Mexican Independence Day by raising the Mexican national flag here in Aurora for the first time ever in support of our strong Mexican-American community. Aurora has been ranked as one of the most diverse cities in the United States, and that is in large part due to our Latino community, including our Mexican community in particular. We are serious about diversity, and we are even more serious about inclusion and belonging. And to our vibrant Mexican community of Aurora, I want you to know you are part of Aurora's story, and your story here in Aurora helps define Aurora's history. Viva Mexicanos! Today we celebrate the independence of Mexico and the importance of our Mexican community to Aurora by raising the Mexican flag in tribute. From the first boxcar families who came from Mexico to Aurora, to the current leadership of Aurora being more reflective of our community, with leaders like Ward 2 Alderman Juan Garza, Ward 1 Alderman Emmanuel Llamas, and Deputy Mayor Guillermo Trujillo. And we have so many other Mexican-American leaders at City Hall and throughout the community who have worked hard to move Aurora forward. And that's why we call this month's celebration Aurora Avanzando. Aurora forward. Give it up for Aurora. Moving forward. So today, we are starting 2 new traditions in Aurora. Along with raising the Mexican flag, I am proud to announce this beautiful space here at North Island Center that we're sitting in today. This plaza is viewed by tens of thousands of people who visit downtown Aurora, who will be a place to highlight our diversity and celebrate our equity. From today forward, this plaza in the center of town will be known as One Aurora Plaza. Un Aurora Plaza. We will host cultural events just like today's flag raising right here for all to see. This is who we are. One Aurora. Viva los Mexicanos. Viva!
Soy puro mexicano, nacido en este suelo, en esta tierra hermosa que es mi linda nación. Mi México querido, qué linda es mi bandera, si alguno la mancilla le parto el corazón. Viva México, viva América, oh tierra bendita de Dios. Viva México, viva América, mi sangre por ti daré yo. ¡Con este grito mexicano! Soy puro mexicano, por eso estoy dispuesto, si México lo quiere, que tenga que pelear. Mi vida se la ofrezco, al cabo me la ha dado, y como buen soldado yo se la quiero dar. ¡Viva México! ¡Viva América! ¡Oh tierra bendita de Dios! ¡Viva México! ¡Viva América! Mi sangre por ti daré yo. mexicano y nunca me he rajado. Si quieren informarse, la historia les dirá que México es valiente, que nunca se ha rajado. Viva la democracia y también la libertad. ¡Viva México! ¡Viva América! ¡Oh tierra bendita de Dios! ¡Viva México! ¡Viva América! Mi sangre por ti daré ya. ¿Quieren otra? No te escucho. ¿Quieren otra? Vámonos con la siguiente canción. He venido de tierras lejanas, he venido para demostrar que aunque pobre me sobran las ganas, por eso mismo me voy a emborrachar. Se me fue de mi lado esa ingrata, se me fue y no la puedo olvidar. Su recuerdo a veces me mata, pero soy hombre y me tengo que aguantar.
Que sirvan las otras copitas de mezcal,
Que al fin nada ganamos con ponernos a llorar.
que sirvan las otras copitas de mezcal.
Que al fin nada ganamos con ponernos a llorar. Borrachito de tequila llevo siempre la manía para ver si así me calmo de esa cruel melancolía. Me llaman el tequilero como si fuera de vida, porque a mí me bautizaron con un trago de tequila. Si es que por la borrachera dices que todo,
Pero qué cosas chiquititas,
pero no todo,
pues más o menos cuánto.
pues más o menos todo.
Mira, mira.
La perdí. ¡Bravo! ¡Ay! ¡Qué bonita la fiesta charra, fiesta del sol! De los hombres valientes traen con su canto la admiración. Carita su festejo todo el campo de tradición. Remeo de la fuera más campira de mi nación. Bonito es el caripeo y bella su animación. Yo quiero montar un toro pa' que me miren mi amor y yupa yupa yu, yupa yupa yu. Yo quiero montar un toro pa' que me miren mi amor y yupa yupa yu, yupa yupa yu. Yo quiero montar un toro pa' que me miren mi amor. Ay, ay, ay.
You make history by raising the Mexican flag for the first time in the history of Aurora. Before we raise the flag, we're going to ask everyone to stand for El Grito. Now, the Mexican consul couldn't be here with us today, but he was with Alderwoman Garza yesterday. And so we pulled the clip from him yesterday to do the grito today. Immediately following the grito, we will begin to play the Mexican national anthem. And as the anthem is played, the flag will be raised. Let's begin El Grito.
Mexicanos, ¡viva nuestra independencia! ¡Viva! ¡Viva! ¡Vivan los héroes que nos dieron patria! ¡Viva! ¡Viva Miguel Hidalgo y Costilla! ¡Viva! ¡Viva Leona Vicario! ¡Viva! ¡Viva Morelos! ¡Viva! ¡Viva Aldama! ¡Viva! ¡Viva la Corregidora! ¡Viva! ¡Viva Vicente Guerrero! ¡Viva! ¡Viva México! ¡Viva! ¡Viva México! ¡Viva! ¡Viva México! ¡Viva! ¡Viva los mexicanos en Illinois!